Hey, welcome. My name is William Beam, and I want to ask you a question. Do you have a trusted business? Are you planning on starting a business and do you want to make sure it's trusted? I get an awful lot of people who come to me to either build a website or ask about certain things for building a website. But what I've realized is that they are actually skipping past one of the most important things, and that's to make sure that they are building a business that their customers can trust, that the banks can trust, that Google and search engines can trust. And that is something that is critical to your success. So you're in the right place if you're looking about information to build a trusted business. I know I have gone through and made mistakes in the past. I've learned from them. And now I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned. So with that in mind, why don't we go ahead and just get started? So to build a trusted business, you're talking about sharing some information about yourself that really just helps you let your customers know, let search engines know, let banks know who you are, what you're doing, and that you're committed to your business. So that commitment is essential. And what happens with a lot of people, particularly online entrepreneurs, come up with the attitude of like, well, I'm going to try this and see if it works. And that's not a commitment. If you need to really make sure that you're building a trusted business, you need to be committed to the business. And the steps that I'm going to show you demonstrate that commitment. So people don't think that you're a fly by night, you might go out of business or you might give up and quit. And it's okay if this is a side hustle. It doesn't mean that being committed to your business is the only thing that you do. You can still have a day job and be committed to your side hustle business. But let's go ahead and take a look at a few things. So, what we're talking about are building trust signals. And for example, those are the things that tell people you're reachable, you're willing to communicate with them, and that you're going to do the things that you say that you're going to do. And I'm going to give you an example towards the end of this of a business that my wife actually bought something from them, and then they made a mistake with the basically the shipping, the confirmation notice that it didn't include the product that she wanted. And we had a horrible time finding out who they were, where they were, and how to get some information from them to fix the problem before they shipped a mistaken order. And that's really undermined, it eroded our trust in that business. So, towards the end of this, if you hang around till then, I will show you what that looks like and why it's a problem and some of the mistakes that they're making still today that you don't want to make in your business. So, the idea of defining trust signals are giving your customers something that lets you know that they haven't spent money on someone who's just going to keep it and either ship the wrong product or not ship anything at all. So, one of the first things that you can do is to form an LLC, and that is a limited liability corporation. The idea behind an LLC is that rather than a sole proprietorship, both are, business options that you can go with. But the idea with an LLC is you're making a commitment. That's the first thing that it really says is you're making a commitment to your business. Nobody's going to go through building an LLC if they don't want the business to work, function, and be profitable and serve its customers. So the idea of an LLC gives you a few different benefits. One, it separates your personal assets from your business assets. So your business is a standalone thing. Two, it gives you opportunities for financial benefits and tax benefits. So I just recently did my taxes for this past year, and I'm able to deduct things for my business as an LLC that aren't necessarily available as a sole proprietorship. You can deduct some business expenses as a sole proprietorship. I'm not a tax expert, so I'm not going to advise you on what to do and what not to do. But the idea of having an LLC, it is a separate legal entity, and that is part of the commitment. So you get some tax benefits from it, and you're also going to get some credit benefits from it because banks and financial institutions are much more willing to lend and extend credit to businesses than they are to individuals. And that's because you've shown a commitment and also that you're working towards generating revenue and profit. So if you want to start an LLC, this is the place that I recommend. And you can see there's a link down below. It is an affiliate link, but there's no extra cost to you. Northwest Registered Agent is where I formed my LLC. They're very good. They have operations in all 50 states. And you can see the cost isn't very much. It's $39 to form your business plus whatever your state's registration fee is. Here in Florida, where I'm located, it was about $150. So for less than $200, I could demonstrate that commitment and got my uh, LLC registered. And that also came with a year free of registered agent service, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But this is what I recommend. I think it is one of the best services out there. And it's different than going to something like LegalZoom. They do it for you. I had to give them a little bit of information. They had a very easy onboarding system. And the nice part is I give them the information and then they did all the work. They are the legal experts. They do this all the time. And they have other services. I mean, they'll give you business services like phone services and other things. They'll also, accept your mail and take care of any problems that you may have. There are more services that I don't use with them, but as far as forming your LLC, it's an inexpensive way to go. It is an easy way to go. And they'll also do your annual report. Like here in Florida and many other states, you need to have an annual report. And I don't do anything for that. Northwest Registered Agent does all of that for me. So there are different services they have and different things that you can decide if you want or if you don't want. But that's why I use, I've been with them for a few years now, and it was just as easy as could be, and it remains so to this day. All right, so the name Northwest Registered Agent is because there is something called a registered agent service. And here's why that's important. If, like me, you're not working from a physical business address, but you're working out of your home, you probably don't want your home address put out on public records. A registered agent is a place where they give you a physical business address. And again, they have this in all of the states. And that's where you use your legal business name. And it's not like a post office box or maybe going to the UPS store. Using your physical business address is important because I know here in Florida and many other states, there's a requirement that if you're going to have an LLC, you need to have a physical place where if you ever get sued, someone can go ahead and deliver papers. Basically, if you get a lawsuit, someone comes up with a service processor, there needs to be, regular business hours. And you don't necessarily want that coming to your house. You don't want your home address on public record. And you may not be at your house for business hours all the time when somebody comes to serve you. So this business address is one, I get to use it so it keeps my home address separate from my business. Two, there are people there. It is a real building and there's real people inside who work there. If somebody has to serve papers, which fortunately it's never happened to me, there's someone there who can accept them and then they will transmit that to you. And it just makes everything easier. And also, because it is a real physical business address, those are trust signals that you can show on your website and without worry about someone is going to come knocking on your door in your house. If they go knocking on the building, they've got their own security. It's not a problem for them. But that's the nice thing. You want to show trust signals of a real address because honestly, you're operating a real business. All right. The next thing, and again, this is something that Northwest Registered Agent did for me, is you want to get an EIN. And you can see that this is an employee identification number. In the United States, this is a business tax ID. It is kind of the business version of your Social Security number that you have for personal reasons, and that you use your Social Security for your credit. Well, in business, you're going to use your EIN. And when you maybe work with an affiliate, you're going to give them your EIN instead of your Social Security number because it's a business. And the same thing when you go register for other accounts, you're going to use your EIN, and that's going to help you build credit and establish yourself as a legitimate business. So you want to register for an EIN. Again, Northwest can help you do this. The next thing after that is going to be a DUNS number. And you can see where it says Data Universal Numbering System. This is from Dun& Bradstreet. And nobody mentions that whole thing. They just talk about DUNS. DUNS, unlike an EIN, which is your tax ID, DUNS is your credit reporting agency. So as your business grows in credit, this is where it's reporting to other banks. If you need to go for a line of credit, if you need to get credit cards, this is going to show people that, yes, you pay your bills on time. And this is, again, separating your business entity from your personal identity. And again, these are trust signals. When you have an EIN and you have a DUNS number, you're showing the business community that you are, in fact, a legitimate and responsible business. So that's something else. Again, I've got this from Northwest. So I actually went in to register my own DUNS number and found out, oh, I've already got one. Great, because they did it for me. It's amazing how much Northwest does for you that you don't even know that you need. But be mindful, you're going to need the EIN for your business. You're going to need the DUNS number for your business. And those things are going to help you grow, and they're going to demonstrate that you have a real business and you've made a commitment to it. All right. So after that is business checking. You're not going to make this on your own account. You're going to use that EIN to register your business checking. Now, there are a number of different places where you can get business checking. Pretty much every bank is going to have a business checking, but they may have like minimum requirements. If you go to a credit union, you can probably get a business checking account there. I have mine with a credit union, and there's no minimum fee. So if you're just starting off and you don't want to leave $500 or more sitting in that checking account that you can't touch, which in order to get a free checking account, they keep that money in there so you can leave that for them to work with, and then you can't touch it. Well, when you're starting off, that may not be feasible for you because you're just beginning. Credit unions have a very small deposit, I think maybe $5, and then you can get a free checking account. Also, some of your credit card companies may have business checking. I know American Express has business checking, so that's a possibility. If you use QuickBooks, then Intuit also has business checking. So there are plenty of places where you can get a business checking account. But again, business checking based upon that EIN separates your business income and checking and transactions from your personal transaction. The reason that this is so important is because, again, if you get sued on your business, you don't want them to be able to come and take your house and the assets out of your personal checking account. So you want to have that separation between your business and your personal life. So the business checking account is, I think, a critical thing to have in place. And it's really going to benefit you, and you're going to grow your credit, which at some point you're going to need to get credit just to do basic online things. I'm using a Business American Express card, and I like that because I don't have an interest rate on it. I just pay it off at the end of every month. But if I buy things online, well, you pretty much need a credit card. It's kind of hard to buy things cash online. And if I'm buying software or different tools or registering for courses or anything like that, I've got my business credit card. And that makes it easy to prepare my taxes at the end because one, all of my expenses are there on my American Express. And also in my checking account, I can see the income that was deposited. And I just mark those up as they come through. I note them in QuickBooks. In QuickBooks, you can have your business checking account and your business credit card imported directly. And all you've got to do is just go tag it as it happens. And then when it comes tax time, it all imports if you're using TurboTax. And it just makes things a lot easier to say, I know what my expenses were. Plus, if you ever get audited, which I hope you don't, then you've got records that you can show these were my business expenses, these were my business incomes. And again, it just makes things a lot easier. All right. If you haven't heard of WHOIS information, this is for your website. And when you register your domain, there is information that people can search on that's public record, and it's called WHOIS. And I'm going to show you an example of that. But basically, a lot of people make a mistake on this, and they try to protect this information because they don't want their address and their phone number and stuff put out there. Well, businesses aren't afraid to have their address put out there. And that's another trust signal. So if you're using domains by proxy or something like that, you're concealing who you are. That's not a good trust signal to the people that you're doing business with. It's not a good trust signal to Google and search engines because it says, well, you're not a real business because you're hiding. And why are you hiding? You know, if you've got a personal website and you want to do a domains by proxy thing or something that conceals your personal information, it doesn't make any difference because that's not a business. If you are in a business, you want to put out your contact information. You want to put out your phone number. And again, that's why I have a registered agent. They have a physical address that I put in my WHOIS information. I've got a phone number that is solely for business, and I put that in there as well. So if somebody calls on that number, I know it's not somebody calling me up and asking if I want to go out for dinner. It is somebody that is a potential customer or potential business partner, any number of those things. And to do that, in my case, I've got an iPhone, and rather than getting another iPhone with another number, there's an app called Sideline, and that loads up on your phone. It gives you another number, and that way you can give it out, and people can call you on that number, and that becomes your business phone number. It's $49 every 6 months at current rate. Also, you can get a Google phone service, and that one is free, and it does much the same thing. You can load the phone app on there. I quite honestly don't trust Google Phone that much, but I like Sideline because it also works with testing, and I think Google Phone also does too. But those are some options for you if you want a business phone, but you don't necessarily want to get a phone line installed or buy another mobile phone. You can put that on your iOS device. If you have an Android, I believe you can put it on there as well. I know Google Phone certainly will go on there, and I'm pretty sure Sideline will have an app on there as well. So that way you've got public information that you can put out, and those are trust signals. The next thing to keep in mind is the user experience. And again, I'm going to show you why this is so critical. When people are on your website, they want to know that they can trust you. They want to have an easy user experience. So you need to think about this before you start building. A lot of people go in developing what they want on their website, and you need to look at it a bit differently. You need to look at this as, who am I serving, and what are they expecting? What experience are they having? For example, I had someone who contacted me recently who had an idea for a directory service. And before you could see anything in the directory, they had like 8 fields that someone needed to fill out before they could just see the listings. And that's a bad experience. People don't want to put in a lot of information without knowing what they're going to get. And one of the things that I really hate, and I think other people do too, is when you want to do business with somebody and before they will show you anything, they want to grab all your contact information, like they're harvesting your contact information. I thought, no, show me a bit of what you've got before I give you my contact information. So that is part of the user experience. If you're trying to harvest things without anybody knowing what you're going to give them, then I think that's a bad signal. Also, people are going to be looking to see, how can I reach you? Where are you? Who are you? So those are things you want to have on your webpage. Not only your customers, but again, search engines are going to be looking for this information. And if you're going for credit, you may find that some of the banking or financial institutions are going to be looking at your website and saying, is this a real business? And if you've put that information on your site, then yes, you're a real business. A lot of people don't want to put their address on a website or their phone number on a website because they know they're going to get a ton of junk mail. Well, you know what? When I'm using Northwest Registered Agent, they don't send me any of the junk mail. They just discard that stuff. And as far as the phone calls, it's not really a problem for me. I get a few phone calls that may be from somebody who wants to sell me something, but by and large, the majority are people who want my help, building their website or having questions about how to use tools and consulting services. So it's really not as bad as you may think. So you want to make sure that the user experience is good and you've got your contact information publicly displayed on your website. I'm also going to say that communication is critical. And again, this goes back to the purchase experience that my wife just had recently. If someone is going to contact you on a contact form or they're going to send you an email and then they're waiting and they don't hear anything from you, all sorts of bad things go through their mind. One thing you want to do is have an autoresponder, and the same thing for maybe text messages or your voicemail. You want to let people know that I got your message. So an autoresponder says, thank you for your message. Our typical response time is, 1 to 2 days, whatever it may be. And also you may want to put down business hours. If you're going away, and you may want to put down, you don't tell them you're going away, but you may say we're out of the office for a while, or business hours or holiday time. Basically just communicate with them. So immediately they know you got the message, you're going to get to it, but right now you're not in the office or at a place where you can do it. So you just say, sit tight, we'll get to you. And of course, politely, I wouldn't say sit tight, but that's something that you may want to do, is just kind of show people that you heard them. And that will save you probably 90% of the headaches that people get. People who send off a message and get nothing in response get antsy. They will cancel orders before you even have a chance to ship them because they don't trust you. You didn't respond to them. And people these days are impatient. They want an immediate response. They will accept an automatic response that says, thank you, here's our timeline to get back in touch with you. Because now they have communication, they know a set timeline to get back, and you can deal with things that way. But communication is critical. If you want to eliminate problems with your customers, make sure that you have an autoresponder set up. You have a voicemail that lets them know and sets expectations, or even if you text them, that you have an autoresponder there. Again, this is something I do with Sideline. If somebody texts me for the first response, it automatically sends something back that says, "Hey, I got your message, and I will get back to you as either as soon as possible or within a certain timeline," and that lets them know, okay, I made contact with them, and now it's just a matter of there's a little bit of delay, and people understand you're busy, you're doing all sorts of things, and they're not necessarily going to get you the moment that they called or texted or emailed. All right, so this is the example I promised you. And this is a company, or the website is called thenordstick.com. And look, we don't have any complaints about the business, but we did have an initial problem. My wife made an order from them, and she had one thing in mind that she wanted. And then she saw, oh, this is available with a bundle for another thing. She said, that's useful. I could get that. So she made her purchase. And then when she got her confirmation, it didn't have the one thing that she wanted. It had the add on item in the bundle and something else that she couldn't even use. So automatically, this was a problem. And she's thinking, I just spent 80 some dollars for something I don't want and don't have the thing that I do want. So, first thing she wanted to do was reach out and say, hey, this is incorrect for me. So, what can you do to fix this? And we looked at this. So, we've got up here at the top, there's contact and app screwing up there. I knew I was going to screw something up in my first live stream. So, this is it. So, let me go over to here. And so, we've got a contact up here. And then we scroll down all the way to their footer. And we're not going to save 10% today. And there's also contact us and contact information. So if we click on contact information, it takes us to another page, and you see that they've got an email address, which my wife sent email to them, got nothing in response. If we click on contact, which she also did this, there is a form, so there's your name, email, phone number, and comment. And again, she did that as well and got nothing in response. And all of a sudden, she's kind of freaking out because, all right, I've just spent money. They've, posted something to my account and I'm not going to get what I want. So until she got some information back, she was ready to cancel the order. And we started looking around. Where is this place located? Where is the phone number for this? Because I got to call somebody to make sure they fix this before they ship something out. Because once they ship it, then I've got to wait for it to get here. That's posted on my card. And then I'm going to have to ship it back because it's the wrong thing. And we don't want to spend money to ship it back because, he didn't send us what we ordered. So we looked around here and there is nothing. I mean, if you look at this contact information, there's no phone number to call. There's no address. There's nothing other than this support email address and the contact form. And we didn't get any response from that at all. So I said, okay, let me take a look. I'll see if I can find you a phone number. So this is where we come over to the WHOIS information. And this is, you can see the nordstick.com. This is the information there. So it shows the domain, where they registered, and none of that's useful for us. What we want to look at is the registrant name or the admin. And this is where we see domains by proxy. In other words, they are hiding their contact information. So this phone number that you see down here, which is what I was hoping to find, is not for the nordstick.com. This is for domains by proxy. Their job is to protect the information that is in WHOIS. And again, we're in a panic. We're trying to find somebody we can contact, and we can't because they're hiding their information. Likewise, as I said before, Google and other search engines look at this information and say, are you a real business? Well, no, because domains by proxy is not the Nordstick. So it's not a real business because you're concealing your information. And this is kind of what a fly-by-night organization would do. Or perhaps this is what a personal website might do because they don't want someone showing up at the door and they don't have the website to run a business. So if you're running a business, you need to be transparent. You need to disclose who you are and your contact information. And that is what's going to build trust signals. Now, fortunately, several hours and hours later, we got a response from somebody at the Nordstick. So I don't want to say that they did not respond, but for a while, my wife was just ready to cancel everything because there was no immediate response and looked like they were going to be shipping us the wrong thing. Now, another part about establishing business trust and business signals is that you can get grants and contracts as a business. And I'm not going to go into all the different things you can get, but you can get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to start up your business through grants and contracts. So, for example, grants, the United States government, your state government, your county government, your city government, all of these places have grants and they want to help businesses get started so that the businesses can help further the community. They can help further, you know, e-commerce and other things in the area. But even bigger than that are contracts. You get a US government contract and you can make a ton of money. And remember, grants don't have to be repaid. They're not like loans. You know, I was talking about credit cards and loans before. Grants are there for you to do something that the grant wants. And for example, if I went in and looked for grants for helping perhaps veterans, you know, build their websites, well, if there's a grant for that and I apply for it and I put in my proposal and I get assigned, I've got that money. Now, what you have to make sure you do is you fulfill the purpose of the grant. But that is a way to get money to fund your business while you're coming up to speed and building the things that will serve your community. Government contracts, basically, you are going out to the United States government who has needs for all sorts of things, and they have much more money. There's probably 100 times more money available in government contracts than there are in grants, and there's billions of dollars available in grants. So I got to tell you, every large business, every medium sized business, even small businesses are looking at grants and contracts. There's money available from the United States government and, as I said, all these state, county, and city governments to do specific things. Some of them are specific to help businesses. So, for example, there are some that will be only available for poor economic areas. There'll be some for women owned businesses, some for minority owned businesses. And that's great. If you fit in some of the categories, then that eliminates a lot of the people who would apply for a grant. And you've got a better chance of getting that if you fit within the profile of what they're looking for. But there are still tons of grants for people to do jobs and do work and do service. So, one of the things that's going to help you with this is if you have a legitimate business. That goes back to having your LLC, your business account, your EIN, your DUNS number, and you basically, that is what's showing trust to people who are going to sign the grants or people who are going to sign contracts. Said, yes, I'm real. I'm committed to this. And that gives you a leg up on the average person who goes out there and applies for something because, well, how are they as trusted as you are when you're actually in business? Now, don't get me wrong, there are personal grants as well as business grants, but I think you're going to have a greater opportunity looking for business grants and particularly government contracts if you are a legitimate business rather than, you know, Bob's Chicken Coops who just happens to sell things on the side and doesn't have a business that's registered anywhere. So they're going to investigate you, they're going to look at your proposal, and these are trust signals that you're in this to do business. So this is one of the ways that you can do business. I mentioned business credit. So again, you're going to need to have an LLC. You're going to need to have a business checking account with your EIN. And then you can start applying for credit cards. And you can apply for multiple credit cards. You can probably apply for a line of credit. When you're first starting off, that may not be as feasible because you haven't shown a record of income. They're probably going to look for your evidence that you're earning revenue in order to get a line of credit. But as far as getting a business credit card, that's pretty easy to do. And in some cases, when you're first starting out, you may need to be a personal guarantor for your business. But as you're starting to earn revenue and your business is growing, it is its own entity. And again, that DUNS number is going to report your credit and it's going to say, yeah, this guy or girl is credit worthy. And that's why the EIN, the business checking account, and the DUNS number is helpful to you. And there are people I've seen that got 26 different business credit cards because they're using them for different purposes. Some have offers, some will do like 0% for the first 12 months. And then, of course, the rate kicks in after that. For example, the American Express Blue Card, has an offer. There's two versions of it: one that will give you cash back, and one that will give you membership reward points. And they have a 12-month 0% interest rate. So if you need cash to get started and you can pay it off before the 12 months is done, you don't pay any interest on it at all. Now, that is something you need to keep in mind. And when you go ahead and get business credit, you got to think about, how am I going to use this money to advance my business, to get some revenue, to in turn pay this off. And you don't want to sit there and then get hit with interest rates, which are going to compound. And if you never pay it off, then you've got problems with your business. So, business credit is helpful, but you need to think about the end game. You get into it knowing how you're going to get out of it. You need to have a plan. So, it's useful tools, not something to pay your bills while you're working up, because if you don't make that money and pay off the bills, then you're just in a deeper hole than maybe when you started. And that is it. I just wanted to go live and talk about a few of these things. So we're going to do this every Thursday at noon Eastern time. So I just wanted to make sure that we have a chance to get together. And I know as I'm starting, there's probably not going to be that many people in here. We'll do some Q&A. I'll do some more things on business, but also I'm going to be doing things on what I've done on my other videos in the past, looking at various tools. And the reason for that is because I get calls from people who want me to build a website for them. Then they find out that a website costs thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for what they want. So it immediately turns to, how can I build this for myself? And that's kind of what I'm going to be sharing on this channel and on these lives. So I'm going to give you ideas of how you can build your own website and do it rather easily. And then some of the things you can do to enhance specific tasks that you may want to do. So I hope this was helpful for you. Take care. I'll see you again next Thursday.